Hello again, good people. Thank you for being here. We are going to get started. I appreciate your patience. For those who don't know me, my name is Joshua Bean, and I have the privilege of serving as Innovation Officer for the Foundation for a Healthy St. Petersburg Center for Health Equity. As you know, we're a part of an integrated system that serves to impact and enhance grant making, strategic initiatives, and community experiences that accelerate the powerful work already being done to advance racial equity. And to those who are visiting the center for the first time, this space once served as a segregated grocery store that Black members of this community were unable to enter. So we've been intentional to rewrite this location's purpose, and because we know that people of color have been systemically excluded from reaching their full potential in society. So we have begun to imagine all the impactful learnings, connections, and solutions that these four walls can hold in an effort to advance racial equity. I also thank you for coming to this experience, as we'll be exploring and promoting equity and access to healthy foods. It's an honor to have you all here as we delve into a topic that is vital to the well-being of our communities and the health of future generations. Access to nutritious food is a fundamental human right, yet many individuals and families around the world still face significant barriers to obtaining the healthy foods they need. Today, we will address these challenges, discuss innovative ways to ensure that everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status, location, background, income, age, can enjoy the benefits of a nutritious diet. But as we dive into these barriers of food access, I encourage you all to do so through the intersection of race. This is necessary to our work as we aim to advance racial equity to improve the overall health of our community. So once again, thank you for joining us in this important conversation that will guide us toward a more holistic approach to creating equitable food systems in South St. Petersburg. I would now like to introduce you to the Reimagine St. Pete Chair and Executive Director of Positive Impact Ministries, Ms. Karen Ray.
It's a beautiful morning.
Yes, it is a beautiful morning. Thank you for coming today to Reimagine St. Pete. I'm Karen Ray, the Reimagine St. Pete Campaign Chair and Executive Director of Positive Impact, which is a nonprofit that addresses food insecurity in our city. It would be remiss of me to not mention that I'm the daughter of Carolyn Brubaker. Many of you know her. She not only birthed me, but she birthed Positive Impact Church and Positive Impact Ministries as well. So thank you, Mom. Positive Impact Ministries is spearheading the Reimagine St. Pete campaign, which is an initiative for each of us. Reimagine St. Pete is a citywide effort to remove the stigma associated with food insecurity, unite organizations in the movement to end hunger, and empower our community through collaboration. Today, we will discuss how we can work together to remove the stigma associated with food insecurity and address the root causes of hunger with respect and dignity. My goal for us today is to walk away from this meeting united in the fight against hunger. Together, we will inspire hope and ignite change in our city. God's word says, one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000. Together we are stronger and our impact will be greater. The Reimagine St. Pete campaign is a hunger relief campaign that's rooted in dignity. It aims to remove the stigma associated with food insecurity. There is a misconception that the individuals who are food insecure are lazy, entitled, uneducated, unemployed, or homeless. While a very small percentage of individuals fit this description, the majority of families we provide food for are working class families. referred to by the United Way as ALICE. Asset, limited, income, constrained, and employed. They earn above the federal poverty level, yet struggle to afford all of the basics. ALICE households span all races, ages, ethnicities, and abilities, though households of color are disproportionately ALICE. ALICE households include workers whose wages cannot keep up with the rising cost of goods and services. ALICE households often include those who are working 2 or more jobs and still cannot afford to pay their bills. ALICE households include family members who need care and assistance, which makes it harder for their caregivers to find adequate work. ALICE households live paycheck to paycheck and are forced to make impossible choices: pay the rent or buy food, receive medical care or pay for child care, pay utility bills or put gas in the car. ALICE households are a part of every community nationwide, including our own. ALICE is not lazy. ALICE is not entitled. ALICE is not uneducated. ALICE is not unemployed. ALICE is not homeless. ALICE may be our healthcare provider, teacher, retail clerk, or sanitation worker. ALICE workers are the backbone of our economy, and we need them. We need to respect ALICE. We need to advocate for and help ALICE. The challenges that food insecurity can create, the agonizing choices like buying groceries or paying bills, purchasing food or medicine, or even having to forego some meals to ensure their children have enough to eat, are overwhelming enough without carrying the extra burden of stigma. There are 2 key steps to remove the stigma. One is to raise awareness and education. We can increase the public's understanding of food insecurity through campaigns, workshops, and educational programs like the Reimagine St. Pete campaign. Another step is normalize seeking help. We can promote stories of individuals who have benefited from food assistance programs, showing that many people from various walks of life experience food insecurity, such as Alice. I would like for you to meet Alice.
Before I lay me down to rest, I ask the Lord one small request. I know I have all I could need, but this prayer is not for me. Too many people on this day.
Monday. I hate school. First grade is so hard. I'm trying to learn to read, but all the other kids are so much better. They all gotta go to preschool and learn stuff, letters, even words. While my mom and dad were at work, I was with my grandma. She let me watch soap operas with her. We didn't really read anything, so my teacher told me to have my mom practice reading with me. But I don't know how she's supposed to do that. She works at a nursing home during the day and takes care of some old man at night.
Tuesday, boy was I tired today. We have lots of people living in our house. My aunt and uncle and cousin live in one bedroom and my grandma lives in the other. My mom and dad's sister and all sleep in the living room. Last night my sister had an asthma attack and was up all night wheezing. I couldn't sleep at all. So when I put my head down on my desk, the teacher yelled at me, and I really hate it when I don't get to use the bathroom before I go to school. But I like the school nurse. She's nice and keeps a toothbrush and washcloth for me when there's no time for me to get cleaned up at home.
That every sparrow's counted, that you hear each cry and listen to each prayer.
Wednesday. It's so not fair. All the kids are signing up for soccer. I really want to play too, but Mom says we can't afford the fee or soccer cleats. Plus, there isn't a bus that goes close to the soccer field. Next week, I'm not even allowed to go to our school trip to Museum Village. When I asked my mom, she said, "Seriously, do you want to eat or make wax candles? I'm definitely going to be sick that day."
When hunger and war pass away,
Thursday. You should have heard my stomach grumbling today. We had cereal for dinner last night and I woke up starving. I didn't go in for breakfast at school because one of the mean bully kids bumped into me and said, "Getting another freebie? You're a loser." I wanted to punch him. Later on, when we were in language arts and it was my turn to read, I didn't know where we were on the page because all I could think about was how hungry I was. Got in trouble again.
that every sparrow's counted, that you hear each cry and listen to each prayer.
Friday. I'm so glad it's the end of the week. All the kids are going to a birthday pizza party after school. I got invited to a party once, but didn't bring a present, so now I never get invited anymore. Someday, I want to have a birthday party with hats and blowers and presents like other kids. But my mom says all that stuff is a waste of money when we have bills to pay and mouths to feed.
When hunger and war pass away.
Every day, thousands of families in the county still cannot meet their needs despite working 2, 3, and even sometimes 4 jobs. Parents have to make gut-wrenching decisions like putting food on the table or buying a backpack, paying rent or buying a new pair of sneakers. And in the end, it's the children who are hit the hardest, who through no fault of their own are fighting an uphill battle every day to simply have a childhood. These are good people, good families who are struggling to get by. These are Alice families, asset limited, income constrained, employed. They are your neighbors, your friends, your family. They are the single parent family of divorce, the person who's lost their job due to closure or cutbacks and can't find new work in their field. A family with overwhelming medical bills. They are families living paycheck to paycheck.
When hunger and war pass away, to have a home against despair. That every sparrow's counted, and you hear their cries and listen to each prayer.
Do you know Alice?
Do you know Alice?
Do you?
That's a hard one to follow up, but it's a reality in our city. Alice may be your relative, friend, colleague, or neighbor, or you might be Alice. We are going to discuss how we can unite to help Alice families. But before doing so, because that was fairly heavy, I would like for us to take just a few minutes, and I would like for you to go up to someone you've never met before and introduce yourself before we move on to our panel discussions. So please stand up, go up to a person or two you've never met before. Hey, Mom, hand me my phone real quick. Okay, if we'll take our seats, please. If everyone will return to your seat, we'll go ahead and get started with our panel discussion. If everyone will take a seat, please, we'll get started with our panel discussion shortly. Thank you. Thank you. The Reimagine St. Pete campaign is for each of us. It is a campaign that Positive Impact Ministries is spearheading, but each and every one of us as individuals and organizations can work together to reimagine what hunger relief looks like in our city. We will now have a panel discussion on removing the stigma associated with food insecurity and addressing the root causes of hunger with respect and dignity. Our moderator is Miss Erica Riggins. Yes! Erica is a reporter for Bay News 9 and former public information officer for the city of St. Petersburg. Let's welcome Erica Riggins.
You know, a former anchor sometimes still has her teleprompter. I bring my own teleprompter. And green for I just want to add that video. I know for many of us, it made us pause more than once. And in talking to Karen and talking to some of our school district officials here, in case any of you are wondering, because it did have a United Way logo on it too, those are local children. Those are children in Pinellas County in St. Pete. Those are all local children, and some of the school district officials recognize some of those children. So I just wanted everyone to know that. And I was so honored when Karen asked me to do this, because we got the chance to work on a story together before I got the chance to meet her as a public information officer just a few months ago for the city of St. Pete. Mayor Welch, I got stuck in traffic, as we all do, and I thought there was a wreck on 22nd. And so I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, there's a wreck. And I did as what we all do. As I got closer, I look over to see where this accident is. There was no ambulance. There was no fire truck. There was no crash scene. There were hundreds of vehicles in line to get the boxes of food that Positive Impact Ministries hands out every Saturday. And so fast forward to just 3 weeks ago, I'm back at Bay News 9, asked to do a story on summer hunger. And I saw an opportunity. I reached out. I said, I don't want to just talk to the school district. And of course, our school district officials are here. I said, how do I help people understand the need? The summer hunger story, as you all know in this room, kids miss breakfast and lunch when school is out for the summer. And so the school district, Pinellas Schools, works to provide that for them with nonprofits as well, with Positive Impact. But to show the need, I decided to go back to 22nd on a Saturday morning before 8 o'clock. And before 8 o'clock, just 3 weeks ago, there were hundreds of cars, 800 vehicles approximately, in line, spanning several city blocks, about 100 walk-ups. And so I went from seeing this, getting stuck in the traffic, to experiencing it firsthand. And with Pastor Brubaker and Karen, I got to meet some of the people, and two women stood out for me as I was there, this time with a camera, to document what was happening and to tell the story about summer hunger. One young woman had a stroller with her 3-year-old daughter inside. She was in the video that aired on Bay News 9. And I didn't put the soundbite in there, but she said, we have a car, but we didn't want to lose the gas from waiting in line. So I'm going to just take the box of food and use a stroller. And I didn't put that on television. The other mother who I did put on television was there for her 4-year-old son. She showed pictures, and she said, it's just hard. I'm here every Saturday because it's hard to provide every week. And she asked Karen, I'll never forget, because this is my first time being part of this and seeing the boxes of food. She said, do you have any milk this week? for her daughter. And so Karen goes to the back. She said, let me check, and brought some milk to add. And one thing for that, as a young mom, if you know my story, I have 3 young children. They just turned 6, 7, and 8. I'm still a rookie mom 4 years in. Karen Irby was giving me she's been giving me tips over the years and gave me some more along with Chair Fix Sanders. I was looking at the box of food and all the fruits and vegetables. I put that on TV too. I told Karen, you have more fruits and vegetables in this box than I have in my fridge right now. And I said, you're helping me. When you talk about the safe and healthy neighborhoods, leaving Positive Impact that Saturday morning and talking to the school district, they talked about the importance of making sure it's healthy food. It's not just canned goods. It's not just the non-perishables. So not just Pinellas Schools with the help of the federal government, but also Positive Impact, making sure there are fruits and vegetables in these boxes and milk and juice. And it was really it was heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time. The last thing I just want to share with you, because I know we want to stay on time, a grandmother, I'm there with a camera. And people were so thankful. You know, they know I'm recording. A grandmother said, she shouted out so I could hear, she said, I'm a grandmother. I have 5 grandchildren, and I'm so thankful for this. From her car. People there from all walks of life. You see every make of vehicle there. And so when I learned about Alice today, and that I saw it. If you want to see it, tomorrow morning, they start lining up before 8 a.m. I got there early, and they wait in line a couple of hours, and they all leave so happy and so much gratitude. So thank you for letting me put that on television, and thank you for letting me be here. And by the way, that story, people are starting to care. You know, Spectrum Bay News 9, it is in Orlando, Tampa Bay, 16 counties. It was number 4 on the website for all the stories that day. So I just want to, people are recognizing that and understanding. So thank you so much. So I don't want to take any more time. I just had to share that because it was so moving to just compliment the video. I want to introduce our panelists. They work every day to improve and uplift the quality of life for families. And first, I'm going to use this clicker here. You'll recognize Reverend Kenneth Irby, our faith and community justice liaison for the St. Petersburg Equity Office for the city of St. Petersburg. Prior to that, you'll know him as me putting him on TV many times, a community intervention and juvenile outreach director for St. Pete PD. So all of that with the city of St. Pete, and a very, very good friend. And we have up next another good friend who I got to work with very closely with the city and hope to do so again with Bay News 9. We have Christy Bruner, who is here. Please come up, Christy. You will see Christy at many, many, many events throughout the greater St. Petersburg area. She is the Vice President of Advocacy and of the St. Petersburg Area Chamber of Commerce with expertise in public policy, community engagement, and population health. It's good to see you again, Christy. And Pastor Carolyn Brubaker. I'm going to advance. If you have not had a chance to talk to her, please do so today. We are here because of her vision and her mission. And she was there on that Saturday as well, meeting people and all of the love. The founder and chief visionary officer of Positive Impact Church and Positive Impact Ministries, as her daughter introduced for you earlier. And another person who needs no introduction, council member John Mohammed, please come up, representing District 7. And the past president of the Childs Park Neighborhood Association. Thank you for everything that you do every single day. These are our panelists. We have a few questions. I'm going to ask them those questions, and then we're going to open up the floor to you, though. We want to hear what you think and make sure you get the chance to make your voices heard and hear what they think on this issue. So this first question, panelists, I'd like each of you to answer. As we move through, I'll have some targeted questions, but feel free to chime in if you have a response. The first one, what are some of the most common societal perceptions, and what are some of the most common societal perceptions and misconceptions about food insecurity, and how do they contribute to the stigma that Karen was talking about? And we'll just start to my left. Councilmember Mohammed.
Well, thank you. Is this thing on? Thank you for having me, and thank you for organizing this amazing event and opportunity for us to communicate and talk about this important issue. I think a few of the common misconceptions is that people who are seeking food assistance are lazy and seeking to defraud the system in some kind of way. I remember growing up hearing about welfare queens. I don't know if y'all remember that. And it would, criminalize people who were in need of services and food assistance. And so I think that was one of them. Misunderstandings about the nature of it and those who use it. I think there's this idea that once you provide food assistance, you're creating a dependency on this service, where the data and the statistics show that that's actually not the case. People who use the service, they use it, but they're always looking for ways to not have to do it. And I think you really highlighted it very well. It was highlighted very well in the Alice presentation, but I think those are a couple of the keys, is just thinking that people who are seeking assistance are lazy and not want to work, or they're trying to take advantage or defraud the system in some kind of way. I think those are some of the common misperceptions.
We forget about the children in those families. Pastor.
One thing, oh my goodness, it is on. One thing that I have noticed, now I'm a mother and a grandmother, so if I cry, just know I do that. But what bothers me is when I see little children that are so excited about getting food that when their mother pulls up, or their father, their grandmother, and we can stop them and give them, our first thing that we give them is a dessert. Of course, y'all know kids love desserts. And to be able to hand them a pack of cookies and they go, this is mine, and we let them pick out what they want. Folks, if we allow 1 in 5 children in this city go to bed hungry, every one of us need to be missing a meal every day.
She mentioned the dessert table. Well, that's what I'm calling it. I didn't show that in the video. When I say it's a comprehensive box, it is a comprehensive box of food. So there are fruits and vegetables, desserts, bread, juice. So yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful display, the distribution. Christy.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you for including all voices and backgrounds and ideas and subject area expertise. I really think that's part of this conversation. So from our perspective, from the business perspective, talking about what are some of the most common societal perceptions, specifically of hunger and of healthy food access, is that it's a personal problem, that that's that person's issue. If they don't have enough to feed their family or their self today, that's something that they have to deal with. Childcare, that might be a personal problem. They can't afford childcare, they can't get to work, that's their issue, they have to figure it out, or how they're gonna get to work, or where they're gonna live, or if they can afford to live in that place. This is a societal problem, this is a community problem, as Karen has been so wonderful to present that way to us, and I think that we all have to take responsibility for that problem. We all have to work together to solve that problem. So specifically about food access and healthy food access, from a community standpoint, from an organizational standpoint, and a business standpoint, that's something that we can all work together on helping each other with, because if our employees can't afford a healthy breakfast, if our kids can't have a healthy breakfast to get to school, they can't learn to be great employees and great stewards of our community. So we really need to have all of those pieces working together and not put that blame on one person.
Well said. Good morning, everybody. I think it's an issue of framing, right? And so we're often, or too often, in our contemporary society, otherizing individuals who are not exactly like us. And so I'd echo Brother John's sentiments that the judgment that is made is that those individuals aren't deserving, which from a moral perspective is contrary to Galatians 6:2, to bear one another's burdens, right? And so whatever our faith tradition, we are called to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And so the challenge I think we're facing is how do we, as Christine alludes to, make this an acknowledgement that we're all in this thing together and that we're helping, maybe not long term, one of my big things, positions is that we have to move from mercy ministry and benevolence to justice for those that are in need.
The village. We all have a role to play in that village. Our next question switches from the stigma and perceptions to policy. And getting the work done. And I have this for Councilmember Mohammed and Christy, but please feel free to chime in if you have a response. How can policymakers and community leaders collaborate to normalize the use of food assistance programs, to normalize it and reduce that associated shame?
That's a great question. I think some of the work that we've been doing to bring those who provide the services together to really talk about and how, let me back up. Policymakers have platforms and they have reach. I'm learning that, right? And so we can extend invitations and convene spaces that sometimes those who may have a desire to do that may not have the platform or the opportunity. And so things like working with the James Sanderlin Center and their program, and we convened about 10 or 12 food service providers to really talk about the challenges that they're facing, the things that they're seeing, and then use the insight and information that we gain from those who are boots on the ground providing the service to help inform our policy making and our decisions. A lot of times we come into these spaces with our ideas of what works and what our ideas of how things should go without listening to people who are being directly impacted or serving those who are directly impacted. And so I think first, making sure that we have accurate information about the problem, really having a good definition of what's systemic challenges, like what Christy mentioned. A lot of times we look at it as an individual issue, but it's a systemic problem. And so really inquiring more into what are some of those systemic challenges that they're facing, what are some of the barriers that they're having, and then seeing how we can, work around developing policies to address that. And also, I think understanding the layers and levels of government and the role that each level of government plays in these things as well is another thing that I think that policymakers and community can collaborate to address this issue.
It's like listening to understand, leveraging those resources once you've heard the full scope from the people impacted firsthand.
I wish I could have said it so succinctly, but that was perfect.
No, that's
what you said. That's okay.
Thank you.
You're teaching us. No, knowledge is power, and you're spreading knowledge. Christy?
I love what you said, Brother John, about knowing what layer does what function. And we were just talking about this in our legislative committee, actually, and giving resources to nonprofits about how to apply for appropriations and what information and what resources are accessible to you at your city, your county, your state, your federal level, and how to navigate that. And how to navigate that not just by yourself as one organization, but as a community, because we're all helping our kids, our families, our businesses, our communities together. And one example of that too is really bringing resources together and integrating them. One great example I know locally is the United Way, the Resource Center at Campbell Park. I was there since it was across the street in the little trailer, and now it's integrated in the school district, really serving not just the families that are there at the school district, but the community at large. There's a community garden there at Johns Hopkins. So all of those things kind of coming together and serving each other. They also have the career resources and the job training and upskilling opportunities. So as Reverend Irby said, it's not just a one-off and coming back every time for the same service and the same resources, but what can you do a little bit better and a little bit more and build that community each time that you're looking for those resources. And on the corporate side, a really great way to integrate is within the employee wellness sector. Employee wellness used to be just, do you provide health insurance? Do you provide some basic opportunities to access health care, which is really sick care, as we know sometimes. It's the reactive, not the proactive, but there's a lot more wraparound services. I know at the City of St. Petersburg is doing a great job of not just health care and a wellness center, but what are you doing proactively? Are you doing nutrition education? Are you doing wellness classes? Are you employing the sense of community that goes along with that? So that's a model that can be integrated in the private sector as well, that you can get an actual payoff because you're working on that proactive side rather than just paying for the reactive side.
And pass it, yes.
Yeah, no, and I'd just add to that, our mayor is intentional about his policies on inclusivity and partnerships. The city has a responsibility to work with the faith community, the corporate community, and the philanthropic community to make sure that these kinds of policy issues are raised up and developed and are thoughtful. Because if the policy isn't thoughtful and inclusive, more often than not, the people won't. People who are not experiencing it won't be able to interpret and validate those kinds of issues.
And Reverend Irby, while you have the microphone, and Pastor Brubaker, this one's for you as well. How can food assistance programs be designed to uphold the dignity and respect of those they serve? Dignity and respect.
Well, yes, I can. One of the greatest things I see is you here today. Because, see, as we work together, we are stronger. And the resource you have, I may not have. The resource I have, you may not have. And as we collaborate together, as Karen said, we are going to grow stronger. One of my greatest heart's desire, and it will happen, because, see, if you want to do something bad enough, you will do it. When I went overseas for 5 years, and I came back from China, God spoke to me and said, St. Petersburg is your mission field. I didn't understand that call at that time, but when I found out that 1 in 5 children go to bed hungry here, I was extremely upset because we go to our refrigerator and say, what would you like to have for dinner tonight? Oh, none of that. Where would you like to go eat? Well, where do you want to go? So we have choices, but there's so many people that do not have a choice. That brings me to this point. As I've worked on the streets for 23 years, and I've definitely been on the street giving food for the majority of my career, when I was able to work with the people one-on-one after COVID hit, it helped me to understand what people really want. We can give people a box of food, and I'm glad to do that. But my appetite and your appetite, your palate is different than the one that's sitting across from you. So what if we could give them a no-cost grocery store that they could come in with dignity and be able to shop just like a Publix or a Walmart, and they could bring their child with them, pick out what they want to eat, and that child would never know the difference. Because, see, there is stigma. There's stigma that we have to erase. And the only way we are going to erase this is if we work together. And let me share something with you. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I'm not the dullest. But I'll tell you one thing. I believe as we press forward, we can have many no-cost grocery stores throughout the city. Dignity, Erica, is what we need to bring to food insecurity. We need to bring the dignity that these mothers and grandmothers and children can go in and shop, not just take what we have, but shop. Thank you.
I think that's applause, appropriate applause. That's been a part of the challenge in recent era, right? Is providing dignity to those who are recipients of the resources that are made available. I've had the privilege for the last 10 years in this city of being at the epicenter of that work. We started the Tangerine Plaza a location in partnership with the police department in response to hurricane need, and then saw that that space grew. And we moved that from Tangerine Plaza to up the Deuces to the Midtown campus of St. Pete College. And at every step of the way, that was not the only venue. And what we learned from the people in those cars and the people walking up for customers' choice is that this was their last resort. And that we needed spaces in our community where people could acquire fresh vegetables at affordable prices. And that's something we need to think about, not just as a one-off in certain communities, but needs to be across the community, across the society in terms of our sectors. And we all need to eat, right? That is a reality that we have to build into the spaces that we create and how we create access to that, whether that's the drive up or we drop in a trunk, or it's the customer's choice. Because as Pastor Brubaker alluded to, when we were doing that work initially with Feeding Tampa Bay, we saw that there were individuals who came through the line and said, I can't eat that, right? It won't work with my diet. You know, people honestly said, my sugar won't let me have that dessert. I'd like to have it, but they knew what they needed. And, you know, I think it is our responsibility compassionately to create spaces where people can access what they need to be able to not just survive, but thrive in our communities.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Thank you. And I appreciate those because you're really dealing with the systemic aspects of the dignity and respect. I remember growing up, my mom, she would read me a story about a man who was well respected and highly regarded. And he was speaking to an audience and he was asking them, you know, when was I hungry? And, you know, I was hungry and you fed me.
Tell that story.
I was in prison and you came and visited me, and, you know, I was in, you know, a rough spot, and you saw about me. And they were kind of confused, and he said, well, when did we do all of these things? And he said, well, when you do it to the least of these, you also do it for me. And I think that helped shape my perspective and my view as a child, that if we really want to serve God, who we've never seen, we can begin by serving our brother and sister who we see every day, and that can be a form of our way of devotion as well.
And then just to bookmark that story, there's another story of our moral underpinning that basically reminds us that the poor will always be among us.
Yes.
Right? For those who are doing their Bible studies, that's Mark 14:7. But here's the reality, is that that's so often misunderstood because people proof text that. You know, what Jesus was saying, it was not that we shouldn't be benevolent, but we should understand that we have to bear that burden. That, you know, because in this society, all of us are one paycheck or one tragedy away from being in need. Somebody ought to say amen to that.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
And so when we raise our community's consciousness and inclusivity, when we acknowledge that it is our responsibility, I think as Christine alluded to corporately and not individually place this on one family, but say, listen, in our community, we have to have spaces and resources and policies that allow individuals when they're down and out to be able to get back in the game. And creating these kinds of spaces and the kind of work that people in this room are doing, I think, makes St. Petersburg a special community. And then the work that we do here, others are always trying to follow. They're often imitated but never duplicated, right? We do these special things in St. Pete.
Can I just add,
Yes,
I was
yes.
say, when it's not just not an individual's problem, and when we help them solve that, it doesn't just benefit them as an individual, it benefits the entire community. So if we can see that helping one helps all, not just it's their problem, it's not my problem. So it's a community benefit.
And just last thing on this for me is also when we talk about respect, there's a cultural or societal idea that says, respect is earned. That goes back to what we talked about earlier, where there are some people who've done things that are worthy of respect and others who are doing things that are not. But again, I was raised different. My father said that you give respect to everybody because you want respect for yourself, and then it's up to you to lose it. But this idea that you have to earn the respect, and when you see somebody in a line or you see somebody who has a need, that orientation sometimes can cause us to look at that person through a lens thinking of them as an other, and they've done something or they've made some choice that caused them to be in that situation when we not acknowledge the societal issues. And so I think also just being a good person and understanding that the respect that you want for yourself should be given to your brother and sister. And this idea that you have to earn the respect is something that I think we have to unlearn, because respect is given and then lost, not something that you work to demonstrate and have in my orientation. So thank you for that.
And we want to make sure it's a two-way conversation and open it up for all of you to ask a question to our panelists. And something that Pastor Brubaker and all of you said reminded me of a quote, because you actually take thought and turn it into action. There's a saying, when it's all said and done, more is said than done. When it's all said and done, more is said than done. And that's the excitement of today. With everyone being together, you can take your talent and your resources and your knowledge and your experiences and leverage that to turn that thought into action. So we want to open up the floor, though, to questions. Please stand if you have a question. We have a microphone. Yes, and he'll come to you. And if you have a directed question to one of our panelists, let us know. Otherwise, you can open it up to everyone.
Congratulations to St. Pete for being called the best run city in Florida. That came out this week. About 5 years ago, I blew in from Boston, opened a hotel, and I met Carolyn and Karen and the team from the Tangerine Plaza crew. I can't say enough about how rewarding it is to be in the community and to help. I can't say enough how distressing it was to hear we couldn't acquire the Tangerine Plaza in the middle of a food desert where hundreds walk up to get food. So we have work to do, and I'm not sure I couldn't go to the council meeting and help convince those in power to let us make a home there, make a food cafe there. We talked about a hotel training program. So I'm a little distressed because we're going to keep feeding and keep helping. On Thanksgiving, we gave away 600 Domino's pizzas. The nice franchise guy, remember? He brought 600 hot pizzas. People waited in line for those pizzas, and it wasn't the 30-minute guarantee that you get at Domino's. But we really have to get to a point where the Rays development's great, wonderful, cutting-edge real estate's getting built on Central. We can't get the Tangerine Plaza for a permanent home? That's crazy. I don't understand. We have high-value people I bring to help. The minute they step into our operation, they want to come every week. They want to help every week. So I'm asking anyone in the politics world, in the real estate world, I write to the mayor every time I can. We need to acquire something like the Tangerine Plaza. Karen said it great. She said, in Erica's piece, she said, will you take us out of here? And they have gas station food. Gas station food. That's not okay in the #1 run city in Florida. Anyways, thanks for listening.
I believe we have a gentleman at this table here. You mentioned 600 pizzas as he's walking. 2 million meals distributed in 2023, Positive Impact Ministries. Yes, sir.
How you doing? My name is Jim Martin. I'm the founder and former director of a nonprofit in Massachusetts called Black FBI. This organization is about 20 years old. One of the things that spawned off of this is a program called Together We Eat. Okay, we right now have about 5 hydroponic tractor trailers associated with the Worcester Public School System, where the schools no longer have to buy vegetables to feed their children. Not only that, but the children take vegetables home with them weekly. And because we've introduced the kids to vegetables, because they're out there doing it, they now eat vegetables. I would like to ask you guys two things. One is, have you ever even considered hydroponics? And if not, I'm available. Secondly, I went to several of your the mayor, the city councils and everything. We developed a concept that incorporates everything you guys have talked about, pays for it, and does so much more, okay? But yet we can't get anybody to listen, okay? So the project is Homes Inc. Ms. Sanders, I think I sent you a copy of it. There's a few others. I didn't know anything about you, brother, but you're gonna get a copy too. All I'm saying is it needs to be more collaboration and less competition.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen to that.
Would anyone like to respond before I keep it moving? We good? Okay.
Good morning, Corey Givens. First of all, thank each of you for what you do for our community, but I want to piggyback off that first gentleman's statement. You talked earlier about services. Well, we have a lot of services in our community. Unfortunately, a lot of it is lip service. This gentleman mentioned concepts. Well, we presented a concept to City Council, and the City Council dismissed that concept. This concept would have been innovative, and it would have brought public and private sector together to help feed an impoverished community in a food desert. So I want to know what happens next. Now that Sugar Hill has been chosen to redevelop Tangerine Plaza, what happens now that hundreds of people won't have a place to go to get food every week? What happens now that these kids and these seniors are going to go hungry after the next 18 months? What happens? Where do they go? Where do we go from here?
A very good question. And when we talk about city council, and I was appointed going on 2 years ago, and we have ideas about the way things work, but then there's the reality of how things work. And so we go into these positions and these posts thinking that we can operate based upon those ideas that we have as community organizers, advocates, champions, but then we enter into a system and a process that outlines the things you can and can't do. And so one of the things that I learned very early on was a lot of the votes that we make, for example, and I'm sure Council Chair Fig Sanders can relate to this, where you'll get a project and you think you're voting on the project, but you're not. You're voting on whether or not that project is consistent with the plan that is already laid out. And so I think one of the things that we can do, and the things that we've been doing after I became more highly aware of this, is start to write the plan and really develop and participate in these opportunities to create the St. Petersburg Healthy Food Action Plan and inform that plan with our ideas so that when those things come before the council and we have to vote on whether or not they're consistent with the plan, we know that they're consistent with the plan because we actually wrote the plan. As it relates to Tangerine Plaza, we were not voting on which project to choose. So it wasn't voting to decide whether Sugar Hill or Positive Impact got the project. That decision had already been made, and Sugar Hill had already received the project during the RFP or request for proposal process. So we were not voting on this or that. We were voting on the project that was in front of us, and the decision that we made was to support and advance that particular project. To your question about where do we go from here, I think that's a question that we as a community, and that's why we're here tonight, for us to decide where do we go from here, because we think that sometimes city council has a magic wand, or the mayor can just go into his tool chest and just say, hey, well, we having a problem with food insecurity, twinkle your nose, bingo, bingo, bing, bing, and it's gone, when the reality is it takes us community organizing ourselves, which is another part of the reason why I'm not going to seek re-election, because I would prefer to not be a part of that process and to be on the ground with the people, to use my skill set to help organize us to address these problems and needs that we have.
Yeah, and I think it's important, as Brother John alludes to, is that we all have to operate from where we are. And this idea of greater collaboration or co-opetition, there's always going to be some competition. But we don't have to be trying to destroy or to eliminate each other. If we work together, I think that the idea that there's reach and possibility in our collective effort, that we're inextricably connected by a single garment of destiny. And so in working together with, as the brother alludes to, hydroponics, and we have a great youth farm program initiative. If we can scale those things, there's so much that could be done by the faith community if we would work together and build capacity, which is why I've been placed in this position, and I'm excited about that. We can bring solutions to the table that haven't been acknowledged and may not necessarily be authorized by local government, because of the power of the people have decided to do some things using their resources and ingenuity to solve these tough issues in our community.
Pastor Brubaker, I think. Yes.
One quick shout out too, when we talk about where do we go from here, there's a woman in the back with her hand raised, Erica Hardison. We actually are founding board members of the One Community Grocery Co-op, and the grocery co-op was organized and started when Walmart first left. And so one of the things that we can do as a community is find out more about the One Community Grocery Co-op and see how we can participate in that, and not wait for Superman, but really begin to organize ourselves to solve some of our problems in collaboration with faith leaders and others in community. So please see Erica Hardison at the end of this if you'd like to learn more about the grocery co-op. Somewhere we can go from here.
Pastor Brubaker and then Christy.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to share. I do want to speak very truthfully. The city has been extremely good to us. They have given us the privilege of working out of Tangerine Plaza to be able to work in a food desert for the past 4.5 years. They also told me that it's possible that we could stay another year to a year and a half. Now, we were not like what you said. There was not a between Sugar Hill and Positive Impact. Sugar Hill was chosen by the other administration, and we definitely support the process of our city, that they make good decisions on the information they have. If I have to say anything about the entire city council and our mayor, every one of them love us, good to us, and want us to continue doing what we do. So please know there's no hard feelings. What we do is put one foot in front of the other and keep dreaming, keep having our vision, and work towards a goal that's called one store that people can shop at no cost. Amen?
Christy.
Sure, I was just going to add, in addition to Reverend Urvio's talking about the faith community, really your business community here in St. Petersburg has a unique stance, different than other business communities, that they want to have an impact on what's going on collectively in the community. We work with our elected officials proactively. As Brother John said, they can't vote on something that's not before them. So we're really trying to bring in subject area experts from development side, from the engineering side, from the subject area experts, and then from the community, people who are boots on the ground living it and working it right now, to help bring that information to our elected officials so that they can make informed decisions when it's time to do that. So we invite, the faith community invites, the business community invites. When we're all collaborating together on that proactive side again, then when we have those decisions to make, we have all the right information, and your elected officials have all that right information. So we're really fortunate that in this community we have all those communities working together.
Christy, thank you. We have 1 minute remaining for this and one last question.
Hi, Wendy Wesley. I was completely unprepared and floored for that 35% Alice number. As we move forward with this Raise Heinz deal, I'd like for all of us to remember as we make decisions, especially to our electeds, that Alice pays more than its fair share of taxes, and Alice pays more than its fair share of rent.
Absolutely.
Let's make it fair.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your knowledge and your love.
Go now?
That's Thank you, and well, please remain, because I want you to remain seated, because I want to bring up another leader, and I want you to stay. It's about learning. Please stay seated until the conclusion. I'm going to bring up another speaker for remarks. You've heard her, yes. Another leader, our City Council Chair, Deborah Fix Sanders, a true servant leader in this community, working to uplift and enhance the quality of life for all of our residents in St. Pete. So I want all of our leaders to stay on the stage.
Good morning, everyone. There is a lot to digest here today, but I am so grateful to be able to stand before you as the chair of the City of St. Petersburg to hear your comments and to hear your concerns, because I think I'm going to date myself just a little bit. And first of all, let me thank Karen and Pastor Brubaker, because we've worked together for a very long time. We started when I was at the YMCA. Yes. And we've been in this struggle for a while, and just to kind of take a few moments of privilege on this effort has been going on for a very long time, and it's now because of the effort of collaboration that we're starting to see it surface, that it's starting to have greater platform, greater foundations, and being able to pull it together. So I want to thank everyone that's going to be active and continue to be proactive with what it is that we're going to do. I kind of want to date myself a little bit, because, we talked about Alice, and parenting is already hard. Yes, it is. Imagine being a parent and you can't feed your children. See, when I was growing up, I didn't know milk came from a cow. Let me take it back. How many of y'all had that powdered milk in the day? Am I dating myself? How many of y'all had that big clump of cheese where it made the best grilled cheese sandwiches in the world? See, I did not know anything about Jif peanut butter. My peanut butter had a white wrapper and black ink on it. So when you talk about understanding a lived experience and understanding from whence our community is from, there are those of us that are trying to make those differences and make those decisions that have been there. Exactly. We've been there. We've lived that. We talked about it being systemic. Everything we do is systemic. You can't have a bicycle without a wheel. You can't have a bicycle without a chain. You can't have a bicycle, well, you can't have one without handlebars, but there are moving parts. You get where I'm going with that. So when we look at wraparound services, we talk about how we can come together in our different areas of authority. So although Councilmember Muhammad decided not to run for re-election because he understood you can stand on the steps and protest all day long, but when you get on the other side of those doors, it's a different kind of fight. He knows the battles that we fight for you every day. He knows how much we can push and how much we can pull. But I'm going to stay in this race because I also know that my voice at that table is going to resound louder than anybody on the steps, because I have my battles behind the doors. We have those conversations behind the doors. So I'm glad he explained that process, because when it comes down to this and collaborations, although some of us don't know what we don't know, it is your right. It is your responsibility. It is your fortitude to tell us what we don't know, because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. But I'm choosing to look at this position. I'm choosing to look at who we have on this stage. I'm choosing to look at who we have in the audience to be that foundation of progress. Yes, the mayor has his pillars of progress, but he can't enforce any of them without you. He can't make any of those happen without us. And we're here to represent all of you. So again, it's easy to stand on the outside looking in. And I'm going to say that affirmatively. But once you get on that other side, and thank you, Pastor Brubaker, for that clarification of it wasn't Sugar Hill against Positive Impact. There was so much more that's unveiled in that process. There are so many more details that often a lot of people do not have the privilege of having, unfortunately. But that's why you have to make sure that those that represent you are those that are there that have your best interests at heart. And you have a panel, a phenomenal panel that comes together from all aspects, from our faith community. Oh, imagine the differences we could make if all of our faith community came together. Our business owners and entrepreneurs, imagine the difference. And when I look at Alice, and when I look at the things that we have before us, it's holistic. It's holistic. I'm with you. I went and I saw the 700 cars, and I was like, what in the world? And this is when it first started. And I was able to go and look at the food selections. Better than the groceries I buy. Okay, so I don't cook. So I'm just going to be quite honest. But the selections were phenomenal. Phenomenal. And when we talk about, and every time I talk to Pastor Brubaker, I hear her always use that word, dignity. Dignity. Okay, I grew up. School clothes, 2 shirts, 1 pair of pants, and 1 pair of shoes. That was my school clothes every year. I didn't know I was poor. But my mom walked with dignity. And she taught us to have that same dignity. So without that dignity, we can feed all day long. Lobster tails, crab legs, potatoes, corn, all day long. But when the presentation, and Karen amazes me, when you go on Saturday and you watch the care and the concern that they give to those that come, I wouldn't mind pulling up because of the care that they give each and every person that comes through that line. It's amazing. And before I close, I want to tell you, these centerpieces are phenomenal. And if you have not tried some of those collard greens from the St. P. Youth Farm, let us not forget the St. P. Youth Farm and the healthy options that they provide for our children. Because as you know, the executive director at the Y, it amazed me that our children did not realize where tomatoes and lettuce and those things came from. And they were able to grow them in their own garden. And we had them cook them and have their own meals of the foods that they actually prepare. So a lot of the things that we take for granted, just remember that there are so many of us out there that we know that we take them for granted, but there are so many of us out there who have not forgotten what that means and the difference. So when we have conversations like these, Lord, when we have conversations like these, and when it comes down to embodying the greatness of our community, we cannot go forward without using the term God, or Lord, or His blessings, because we all know from whence they've come. We all know from whence they come. And so for that, I am so grateful for the invitation. I am so grateful to be in this place. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to advocate for things like this. And please know, one of my new business items is to find additional dollars for things that social action funding that can support other things other than homelessness. Although I sit on that board, it's organizations and things like this that also need financial city resources. And Christy also hit the nail on the head when she said you have to find outside sources. Even on council, I could not get support of the city, believe that or not. So we went outside and found other resources. You know, so you do what you have to do. You know what you know, and what you don't know, you educate yourself. And for that, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
We love you, Deborah Figgs.
Thank you to each of you that contributed. If you would like to take your seat, we'll move on to the next part of the meeting. Thank you. Give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Erica. I want to mention the centerpieces. We are partnered with the St. Pete Youth Farm. We provide compost to their farm every week, and we love the St. Pete Youth Farm. But the centerpieces actually were provided today by the 15th Street Farm. So where is Emmanuel? There we go. There's Emmanuel. Thank you so much. Thank you. They're beautiful. And we have a surprise for you regarding those centerpieces at the close of the meeting. There are a lot of wonderful farms in our city, including Wonder Farm. We have Ray here today from that farm, and several others. Yes, please forgive me, I don't have them listed in front of me. So, speaking of the pillars of success that we have in our city, one is neighborhood health and safety. And I would like to introduce the city's effort to address food insecurity and inequality. The program is called Healthy St. Pete, or is put together by Healthy St. Pete. And I would like for Sarah Wiemert to come up and share with you more about that program. Sarah is the food systems planner for the city of St. Petersburg and lead researcher and advisor for Healthy St. Pete's Healthy Food Action Plans. So help me welcome Sarah.
Hi, thank you for that great introduction and the stimulating conversation. Oh, sure. I'm advancing with this green button. Okay. I'm here to talk about the community planning project that Healthy St. Pete is overseeing, called the Healthy Food Action Plan. It is a community planning project that intends to address the social, economic, and physical aspects of food access within healthy food priority areas within St. Petersburg. We are addressing healthy food priority areas, which are USDA designated low income, low access qualified census tracts. The plan focuses on improving health outcomes for residents by connecting them to projects that align with the ideas generated within the communities. The plan has 4 phases: discover, envisioning, design, and deliver. Currently, Healthy St. Pete is in the middle of the design phase, or towards the end of the design phase, and we're getting ready to move forward into the deliver phase, which is grant making and project implementation. So you can see up here that this project has had extensive community engagement. In total, our survey has had over 7,000 touch points, including on-spot surveying at 30 community events, flyering at local businesses, and at public spaces. We offered 6 community food forums where we heard from community residents about their experiences, both with the food environment in their neighborhoods and food insecurity. And we also held recently 3 community reviews where we reviewed the data from the Healthy Food Action Plan report with the community. Our survey responses were almost twice what we needed to be accurately representative of the community. These were the largest categories represented in the responses, and this information helps us inform the appropriateness of interventions to residents in the healthy food priority areas. The categories included retail, physical improvements, nutrition, and housing and development. This word cloud is just a selection of some of the most mentioned words in our open response part of the survey. And I have a selection of some of the comments that we received. You can read them for yourselves. They range from food and policy advocacy, information on, or wanting information on food and nutrition, more convenient options for retail spaces like the fruit and vegetable stands that you see on the corners in New York City. And then also a community-owned grocery store, one that doesn't just distribute resources, but also builds wealth within the community. And this leads me to the exciting part of our program, our grant making and implementation. On July 19th, we are launching, in parallel with the Healthy Food Action Plan report, the Community Food Grant Program. This is a competitive grant program for nonprofits. We are offering $300,000 for projects that work to improve health equity by aligning with the Healthy Food Action Plan areas of focus and strategies, which again were generated by the community through the survey and through the community food forums. It is launching again July 19th, sorry. I'm also excited to say that Healthy St. Pete recently launched an engagement activity for all residents in St. Petersburg, where we can vote on our favorite food vision statement, which is a mission statement around food systems and health equity in St. Petersburg. These statements were generated by the Healthy Food Priority Area residents who attended our community review sessions. They were intentional, they were collaborative, and they have a lot of purpose. So I please encourage you to scan the QR code and vote. The voting ends next Friday, and it will help inform some of the direction of the projects and policies that work towards building equity in our food system in St. Petersburg. And also, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, I'm Sarah Weimer, I'm the planner with Healthy St. Pete. And thank you for having me.
This morning, we are launching the citywide effort to reimagine St. Pete. We discussed removing the stigma associated with food insecurity and addressing hunger relief with dignity and respect. Today, we unite in the movement to end hunger and start empowering our community through collaboration. In the same way that there will always be a need for programs like down payment assistance, rental assistance, free home improvement services, free medical care, and free mental health services, there will always be a need for food assistance. Due to systemic issues like poverty, inflation, lack of employment opportunities. However, we can move the needle on food insecurity. There are a few different ways we can do that. One is through offering immediate relief to ensure that families do not go hungry and that children receive adequate nutrition. Another is to raise awareness of the root causes of hunger and remove the stigma associated with food insecurity through campaigns like Reimagine St. Pete and other workshops and educational programs. Another is to address the root causes of hunger and offer solutions through advocacy, collaboration, and empowerment programs. I want to leave you with some food for thought. No pun intended. What role can you or your organization play in reimagining St. Pete? How can you help increase awareness and remove the stigma associated with food insecurity? Who can you collaborate with to make an even greater impact in our city? It's up to you and me to show love and compassion to our neighbors and to extend a helping hand. I would like for each of you all to ask yourself these questions, because Reimagine St. Pete, again, is a citywide initiative for each one of us to be a part of. Positive Impact is spearheading this initiative, but we all can reimagine St. Pete. We all can have a vision and a plan for what Reimagine St. Pete looks like to each of us and our organizations. Like Brother John said, I have it on my notes, so I'm going to share it with you. Again, it's up to us to show love and compassion to our neighbors. Matthew 25:35-40 says, "For when you saw me hungry, you fed me. When you found me thirsty, you gave me drink. When I had no place to stay, you invited me in. And when I was poorly clothed, you covered me. When I was sick, you tenderly cared for me. And when I was in prison, you visited me." Then the godly will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty and give you food or something to drink? When did we see you with no place to stay and invite you in? When did we see you poorly clothed and cover you? When did we see you sick and tenderly care for you, or in prison and visit you?" And the king will answer them, "Don't you know? When you cared for one of the least of these, my little ones, my true brothers and sisters, you demonstrated love for me." How many of you all are ready to demonstrate love for others? I want to thank each of you all for being here this morning. This is the launch of Reimagining St. Pete. Again, the purpose is to remove the stigma associated with food insecurity, unite organizations in the movement to end hunger in our city, and empower our community through collaboration. So thank you for being here this morning. I want to give special thanks to everyone who made this morning possible. First of all, to the Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete. Thank you to Joshua Dunn and to Dean Hendricks for helping make this event a success. I want to thank Positive Impact Ministries, Pastor Carolyn Brubaker, who literally this morning put all of the food together. So thank you for that. For Heather Bay, who put the little goodie bags together and did a lot of running around for this event. Thank you, Heather. For Beth Cole, for coming early today, and to Sandy as well. Thank you so much. I want to thank Spectrum Bay News 9 for sharing Erica Riggins with us this morning. Thank you, Erica, for coming. I would like to thank those representatives from the City of St. Petersburg, our panelists, Reverend Kenneth Irby, Councilman and Brother John Muhammad, Councilwoman and Chair Deborah Fix-Sanders, and Healthy St. Pete's Sarah Weimer. Thank you all. I would like to thank Christy Bruner as a representative from St. Pete Chamber. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Lou with Shravosky Awards for her and their sponsorship of the Reimagine St. Pete campaign. They are our first sponsor for the Reimagine St. Pete campaign, and they came in at the changemaker level. Thank you, Lou. And she made it possible for us to provide the t-shirts and programs for you all today. I would like to thank White House Custom Apparel. Right here is Tommy Cooper. Thank you, Tommy. He donated the reusable grocery bags, and he printed I guess it's called printed our shirts for us, produced them for us. Thank you so much, Tommy. I would like to mention Lightning Print. Leonard Fabian is the owner for printing the meeting agenda and all of the other positive impact collateral. I again would like to thank the 15th Street Farm, Emmanuel Rue. Thank you so much for providing the beautiful centerpieces, which are made up of collards, fennel, and mint. They are edible, and you please leave the vases, but but the youngest person at each table, please feel free to take the goodies, the greens, okay? Or should I have said the oldest? Should I switch it? No. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I would also like to thank Kawa Coffee for the goodies that they put, Raphael Perrier for the goodies that are in the bag, and I would like to thank Moments of St. Pete photographer Amanda Meyer. Thank you so much. Each of you all helped to make today possible. And again, I want to remind us why we are here today, and that is to move the needle on food insecurity. That is for us to reimagine St. Pete, to give the individuals that we serve the respect and dignity that they deserve. This is for each of us. If I have reimaginestpete.org, and I would love for us to all reimagine St. Pete. Like if I were to get on your website, for instance, and there's a Reimagine St. Pete tab, your initiative for reimagining St. Pete, that would just be so cool. And then on our Reimagine St. Pete tab, I would love to put your logo and a link to your website and just let people in our city know that we are all working together to reimagine St. Pete, that we each have a vision and a plan for reimagining St. Pete. So thank you so much again for coming today. Have a wonderful day, and make sure, if you haven't met someone that you don't know, to go up to someone now, and have a great weekend. Thank you.